I think people start getting me. Maybe because the closer I am to who I really am, the closer I get to who I really am, the more people get me. Because I think if I don't have the filters, they don't see filters.
Hello, you are listening to the Late Bloomer Living podcast, where we are reimagining and redefining what it means to be in midlife, where we are gathering energy, momentum, and excitement for our next chapter via candid conversations with other midlifers about their own pivots, pitfalls, and triumphs. I'm Yvonne Marchese, your host, and I'm so happy you're here. I took a walk with my sister-in-law this morning, who is one of my sounding boards, one of those people I can go to for an honest response. I was laying out a scenario for her and asking her advice, and she shared her thoughts with me, and we laughed because she's funny. And suddenly she said, "I'm sorry, I just don't have any filters left." But that's one of the things I love about her, and it got me thinking that as we get older, I hope we are all shedding some of our filters. And by that I mean the filters that we put up to the rest of the world so we can appear acceptable in some way. I think one of the benefits of aging is that with time, we are getting to know ourselves better. And maybe getting more comfortable with sharing our true selves with the world instead of the image that we think people want and expect of us. My guest today is Yael Gilboa, who has been on a life journey that I would call an unveiling of her truest self. She's someone who follows her instincts, but she didn't necessarily start out that way. She's an artist, a dancer, a filmmaker, a speaker, and a wellness mentor. At 35, she went back to school to study filmmaking, leaving behind a secure career that was leaving her unfulfilled. That was her first step into the unknown. When she was 37, a friend invited her to a belly dancing class, just for fun. And she loved it so much, she stayed with it and eventually began performing and teaching belly dancing in her 40s. At 50, she started a video business, and now in her 60s, she started a mission-based online business to teach women how to do mandalas. Her mission is to bring joy into women's lives and to empower them to unleash their creativity using mandala art and dance so they can connect to their inner spirituality and lead inspired lives. I can't wait for you to meet her. But before we do, I have a question for you. Are you feeling stuck and feeling like there's no way out? If you're new here, welcome. I'm so glad you're here. And I want to take a minute to let you know that I created a free guide for you designed to help you start taking the steps towards your next act. It's a workbook called 5 Steps to Your Midlife Reboot. You can sign up to receive it as an email series. It's got some practical exercises you can use over the course of several weeks to get past feeling stuck. You can do these at your own pace, as they'll be waiting for you in your inbox when you're ready for the next step. I'll remind you at the end of the episode and tell you where to sign up if you're interested. Okay, without further ado, here's Yael Gilboa. Let's go. Thank you so much for being here with me today, Yael.
Thank you so much for having me here.
I'm so happy to have you. It's just serendipity that we met. It's that new Clubhouse thing that I'm doing. I always like to say how I met people, and I've been participating and putting a lot of time into Clubhouse and exploring what that is, and met you in a room, and then we connected afterwards, and our conversation was just so great. We weren't even going to talk about having you on the podcast, but
Right.
then as we spoke and talked, I was like, your story is amazing. I need to have you on the podcast.
Absolutely. I think one of the most amazing things in Clubhouse, and it is such a democratic platform. I mean, I go into rooms and people moderate it from Nigeria and from all over the place. And you just sit there and you listen to them, and it breaks cultural differences and boundaries and language boundaries. And this is amazing. I mean, this is really And I love it. I just love it because you hear people's voices and
It's
you get to
really
talk to them.
tremendous. Yeah, and I love how international it is. In fact, here I sit in Connecticut in the United States, and there you sit in Israel.
Yes, absolutely. And
Isn't it
it's good
amazing
afternoon for
technology?
me, and it's
Yeah.
good morning for you.
Exactly. So great. Oh my goodness. Well, I can't wait for to get into your story and why, I thought this would be great to have you on. So I'm going to just take you back and we talk about reinvention and you are somebody who has done that over and over and over again, right?
Absolutely. Yes, yes. I
Yeah. And
think
how old are
um,
you now? I'm going to put it out there right into the world.
no problem. I'm
Right.
61 going on 62,
Yeah.
couple of months. Yes.
Amazing and such a background. So, I know that you are in the middle of a reinvention even as we speak, right?
Yes.
So if you want to speak to that one first, and then we can bring up the other ones
No,
as.
let's go back. I think
Oh,
that the
okay.
backstory is much more interesting and it will kind of explain how I got here now and why I'm reinventing myself again.
I
So,
love it. Let's
yes,
do it.
yes, let's go back.
Okay, cool. How far do you want to go back?
I think I'll go back to the age of 35 when I
Oh,
came to my parents and I told them that I've decided that I want to go back to school and I want to study filmmaking.
wow.
And my parents said, we're going to support you. We're even going to pay for your tuition. Although I
Wow.
knew that still had to continue working and support myself, but they kind of, we're behind you 100%. Now, why did I want to do that? Because I worked before that, and it's funny because a week ago I spoke to a friend I know from the past years, and she's like you, a photographer,
Hmm.
and I'm a videographer, and you used to meet when we were both on gigs together. Like I'll shoot it. Usually it's dance performances. I use I'll do the video. She would do the photography. And she started, we were talking about other things. And I said, I did that and I did that. And she said, how old were you? And then I started counting to her what I did since I finished the army. And you were interested in my army service, weren't you?
I am. I saw a post on your Instagram and it occurred to me that having served in the army as a woman, and then that's just a thing that's done in Israel, right?
Absolutely,
It's
yes.
part of the culture, it's part of the social contract, which I find fascinating. And I wonder, like, how has that informed your life for, how many years since?
So I think in, for the first 10 years afterwards, you put your armies, it depends, but I put my army, my experience at the army, I would put it in my CV just to make it a little more robust.
Hmm.
But I really, in the army, I was doing something very secret, and it's what intelligence. So the way that we trained other people in the same profession was that we'll take the more mature soldiers, the ones who were before completing the whole service, and there will be the ones to train the younger ones. So I was a course commander, and I had to take my whole knowledge and encapsulate it, make it more edible so that I could train other people to understand something which is completely foreign to them and teach them. And for me, it was, I think, it's ingrained in me first that I love teaching. And we did it from morning till 10 p.m. at night. That's army, all
Wow.
over the place. Now,
Yeah.
I had someone else with me, and she was also teaching part of the course. And we had some other teachers come from for more technical stuff, but it was all on my shoulders. And I loved it. I really, really loved it. So after I finished the army, I kind of had already had the experience of teaching. And then when I wanted to work in certain things, like I was a tour leader, a tour guide, more teaching youngsters, teaching teenage kids about Jerusalem. So, and then I trained others to be guides. So I knew how to teach.
Yeah.
And I
Can I
think
ask
that
you real quick how many years you spent in the army?
it's 2 years.
Two
It's only
years.
2 years, yeah.
Okay.
It's
Gotcha.
only 2 years, but you grow up because you most of the time that was on my days. Today it's different, but you're away from your parents, you're away from your family, you have to fend for yourself, and sometimes you're responsible for kids who are about 6 months younger than you. That's it. Just that they came in later, and I was uh, I was young, and I grew up. I grew up. Many things I had to overcome, a lot of hurdles, I think, and many you overcome insecurities. You get more insecurities because somebody does not trust you to do this or that, and then it takes years to overcome the fact that he did not trust you, and you tell yourself, but I'm good in that, I'm really good. Sometimes people tell you that you're not enough for something, and in the army it's very harsh. So you've got to overcome that, and it takes years. Sometimes it takes years to do that. But something that doesn't kill you make you stronger. So in Hebrew we have a sentence like that. I don't remember the equivalent in English.
Yeah,
So
the things that don't kill you make you stronger is what the one I know for sure.
the
Yeah.
one okay.
Yeah,
In
what
Hebrew,
doesn't kill you
Zohar.
makes you
Yeah,
stronger. Yes,
yeah.
yes.
So it doesn't kill you; it makes you stronger. So I got stronger.
Yeah.
So that's when I started. So until the age of 30, even 35, my career kind of rolled, and I worked mainly in corporate or in NGOs, and I was not happy. Although I was doing a lot of things that were people thought were down my lane. I was a spokesperson. I was spokesperson to the Association for Civil Rights in Israel. It's a nice job, and I was not happy. I was not happy doing that. So some of this has to do with the fact that I'm an introvert, and the fact that I had to phone journalists and go after the media. It was not for me, not at the time. Maybe
Hmm.
not even now, but I'm better at it because I'm a lot more experienced, and I know that it doesn't kill me to do that. Like
Right.
it
And
does.
perhaps it's because what you're doing now is so aligned with, your sense of
Wait,
mission for
yes,
that something
yes,
that's driving you. I mean, I'm also an introvert. And so doing what I need to do to try to grow the audience for this podcast, it takes me very far out of my comfort zone.
absolutely.
But I'm driven to do it because I love what I'm doing so much. These conversations, for the podcast
Yes,
just feed me hugely, and yeah, it's amazing what you can do when you've got a mission or a drive or a purpose, right?
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So, as I said, I came to my parents and I said, listen, I want to go to film school. And I resigned from my work from the Association for Civil Rights in Israel. And I said, okay, what do you know how to do? I know how to be a spokesperson. So I reapplied to be a spokesperson. And I landed a wonderful job as a spokesperson for the Israel Museum. It's the largest museum in Israel. And I came to the person who wanted to hire me, and I said, "Listen, would I be able to go to school to study?" And he said, "No, we need you 24/7." And I said, "Okay, so I don't want it." And it was the first time that I completely aligned with what I wanted to do or did not want to do. I
Hmm.
did not want to do this.
Hmm.
But the universe has got a kind of a way of, if you go in the right direction, you will land in something which is more suitable for you. And I got a phone call right after that from a woman who worked years before that in a museum with me. I was doing research in that museum. I was working on what we called at the time audiovisual content, and I was doing research. And it's funny because then today we call it digital content. At the time, the word digital did not exist.
Right. Yeah.
I'm talking about mid 80s. So she knew me and she called and she said, "Yeah, I've got a job offer for you." And I said, "How did you know I was looking for a job?" And she said, I don't know, but we are formulating a team that we have a big museum project. And we need a team of researchers, and I know that you have experience, so come and talk to the curator. And I landed a job which paid the same salary for part-time job as I had as my spokesperson
You're kidding
job.
me. Wow. Wow.
And I could study because it was only part-time.
Yeah.
So I went to school. And when you go to film school, you just I looked at the curriculum, and it was just front, like being in school. I'm not talking about the projects that I had to do, nothing. It was just 24 hours a week. Okay.
Wow.
And it
Mm.
was in Tel Aviv. I lived in Jerusalem. It was far away. So I took a deep breath and I let it out 2 years afterwards. It was an intensive course of 2 years. I, it was that my day started at 7 a.m. They ended at 11 p.m. I slept at my parents' home 2 nights a week because it was just too much for me to drive back and forth. It was amazing. And after I finished that, I felt that for 2 years I didn't breathe and I didn't move. So I said, okay, I need to do something. And a friend of mine came to me and she said, Yael, my daughter and I, we want to go, and her daughter was 7 years old. We want to go to a belly dance class. Would you come with us? And I said, oh, Leslie, you just, well, you just went through an open door because I've been looking for a class to do something. So I started belly dancing as a hobby. And I was so caught up with it that I finished work, I remember in Tel Aviv, and I would drive to Jerusalem to be right on time, 5:30 p.m., so that I wouldn't miss my class. And after a year, my teacher told me, "El, come and join." She had what she called the ensemble, and it was an advanced class.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
I said, she said, Yael, come and join that class. And I said, her name is also Yael. I said, Yael, but I don't intend to be a belly dancer. Why do you want me to come to that class? She said, you are talented. You will enjoy it. Come and join that class. 3 years later, she actually formed a dance troupe for me and women like me because we were already 40 plus.
Uh-huh.
And we started performing. And I finished my schooling, and I continued to work in museums. I didn't go further than that. And then the project I was working on ended suddenly after 5 years. They just, they cut the funds, no more money into that, and
Um,
from one day to the other, I was jobless.
oh, wow.
So I looked for a year. I was looking for all sorts of things to do. I did whatever came to hand, and then I landed another job at the museum. I was doing the curatorial production of that museum, and at the time, because I already had my training in video, I got also the projects I used to get were more video oriented, like because of my training.
Mm-hmm.
So that was I was 40 plus, and I was still doing museum work, but after a year, I finished that project. I moved from Jerusalem to this part of the country, which is north of Tel Aviv, and this is northern part of Israel. and I knew nobody, and I had no connections, and I had no job. So I said, okay, Yael, what do you know? What can you do now? And I said, all
Wow.
right, I know how to belly dance. I've been dancing for 5 years now, and I know how to teach. So I asked my teacher for a few of her how do you call them, lesson plans? What, I
Uh-huh.
don't know the name in English,
Yeah.
and she gave it to me, and I started teaching belly dance. Now I thought it was I would feel my time a little, but it turned into a career. I was
Wow.
40 years plus, and I started to be a professional belly dancer. I actually started perform. People came to me and they said, "Could you do a workshop for us? Could you perform here?" And at the beginning, I was a bit puzzled because I never performed on my own. I always did it as part of a group. So I
Oh.
collected all the my few of my friends that lived in the north, already left Jerusalem, came here, and even from Tel Aviv. And I said, okay, we need to perform here, we need to perform here. And that was the beginning. And after a while, I people asked me to come along to do workshop here and workshop there. And I did mostly workshops. And I think until today, I've got another one tomorrow. I already stopped, and I stopped
Oh, and you're
because
still doing it. Even
I
now.
still do it,
That's
but
so amazing.
it's going out in the evening. I'm schlepping. I'm going out with a huge booster, with a huge sound booster. Okay,
Oh,
I
wow.
take a suitcase full of those belts with the
The
coins on them.
bells and the
It's heavy.
coins and the right? Yeah.
I bring everything
So
with
you've
me.
got luggage, you've got a sound
Yeah,
system, you've got all that stuff
I
you're lugging, right?
Yes,
Oh,
I have
wow.
to schlep it with me. So
Yeah.
I got tired of that. And you go out in the evening because most of them are in the evening, and you get home very late. And I said, it's not for me anymore. I'm over 50. I don't need to do this anymore. But so I was trying to pivot from that into something else. And I said, and then a friend came to me, and that was about 10 years ago, a little more. It was 2010, and she asked me to do a film because she knew that I was doing some small projects about someone, and they were willing to pay. And I said, okay, but I had nothing. And I had to hire everyone. I had to hire the photographer, and the editor, and I was left with no money at the end. Like, I did a project, but I paid myself something like $500 out of the whole thing. And
Wow.
I worked so hard, and I said, okay, if you want to do this, I mean, it's 2010. Every kid has an iPhone. They use the iPhone to take videos, and they upload it right away to YouTube. So the world has changed from the time that I finished film school to that year. And I said, okay, the train has come. It stopped in my station. And are you going to get on this train? And I said, yes, I'm going to get on this train. So I needed to buy equipment, and I needed to buy a proper computer and editing software, everything. And I launched my video career, video making
Wow.
career. So that's another pivot that I made. So you remember that I was a spokesperson. I'm not talking about what I did before that. I did a lot spokesperson, and then I did museal research and curatorial research, and then belly dance, and now I'm a video editor. And then I realized that it's very difficult when you are a photographer and you're doing video, and video is it's a lot harder, because if you don't give your the edits to somebody else, you spend hours and hours and hours editing, polishing, and it's so time consuming. And I know there are younger people there that do it faster than me. And in a way, I'm maybe I'm a control freak. I don't know, but I couldn't scale. I, it's either I build a team and I work with other people, or I remain very small service provider.
Hmm.
And I was grappling with that, and I was thinking to scale with teaching because I'm a teacher, coach. So
Hmm.
teach other people to film and to edit on their phone, etc. But life happens, and at that time it was around 2013. Both my parents became um, dependent and um, very old. Both are over 90 years old.
Wow.
And I suddenly found myself spending about half a week taking care of my parents. We have three girls, three daughters, three sisters. And we kind of divided the workload, but because there are two, and they live at home with a caregiver, and we had so much um, it's the bureaucracy and just going to be there with them and to take them out and to take care of them and to take care of the things and their house and everything.
Yeah.
It's a full-time job. And I
Yeah.
couldn't scale my business. I couldn't scale it. And if it was at that time, the things that helped me. And this is something, maybe I should go back to my belly dance, because I think what happened was, even when I went to film school and I knew that I had a passion for filming, and I loved it so much, I felt that there was some kind of a veil that was separating me from the rest of the world.
Mm.
And I just couldn't, I didn't feel grounded. And the one thing that really grounded me and the veil started to lift was belly dancing. And I cannot explain, because when you stand there, or maybe I can, you stand there and you let your body, you release, because in order to dance properly, you need to release, and you learn to look at you and to love you wriggling there, just that, to see your body shake and wriggle. And I remember my students would come to class, and at the beginning, even the full women, they would come and they wear a huge T-shirt that you can't see anything. And I said, listen, would you pull it up a little? I want to see your belly. I want to see what you're doing. Or they'll wear baggy pants. And I told them, I need you to wear tights. I want to see how your knees work. And and after a while, you see them like pulling the shirt up. Did they want to see their tummy area?
Right.
And
Right.
it takes a little while, and they will buy a short shirt that would actually reveal their tummy. I
Which is
think
a big deal, you know. Like
big
for me right
deal.
now, I do not want to reveal my tummy.
Uh, you see, and I think this is the thing that got me so grounded, and that was the beginning. Still, I felt that there's something preventing me from reaching my inner being.
Hmm.
And around the year 2011, I think, I felt I encountered mandala work. And you can see behind me, there are a lot of mandalas. And that was the first time in my life that I felt that inner connection. You work on a mandala and you just go inside. So every time I'm in a, I don't, I want to say stuck, but it's more than, I'm uh, in a tight spot. Just go and paint a mandala, and it would, in a way, it would ease things for me.
And did you start doing that about the same time you started doing the belly dancing?
No, when I started doing the video, when I opened my video career,
Gotcha. So more in your 50s.
yeah, in my 50s. It was in my
Uh-huh.
50s. So the mandala was for me was kind of like I did with the belly dance at the beginning. It was a hobby and nothing more than that. And I took a course with my mentor and teacher, and I kind of got into that more and more. But still, I didn't do anything with that. And to make a long story short, I've been doing videos for the past 10 years, and I specialize mostly in educational videos because I come from education. So online courses, not for me, for others. I'm the
Oh,
expert.
how
And
interesting. Wow.
I collaborate a lot with a friend who is an art teacher. And one day she said to me, "Listen, why don't you do some belly dance some dance, not belly dance especially, dance instruction, some dance videos that we could incorporate into that course." And the women who took the course loved it. And she said, "Yael, do a course of your own." And then something came to me, and I said, "Okay, I do something about the mandala work." And that's when I actually started teaching mandala work and sacred geometry. So this is the pivot that I've been doing over the past couple of years.
Wow.
And I'm trying, I'm trying to combine everything together, which means
Yes.
it's the mandalas with the dance, because I think that there is something what you want to get really connected, you have to do it body and soul. So body is the dance and soul is the mandala. And that's my final pivot.
Wow. So far as you know.
Yeah, so
So,
no,
you know,
that's my pivot so far.
so far, exactly. I found a really interesting post that you did, which I think speaks to this. I'm going to quote you to yourself, if
Okay.
that's okay, because this is talking about your mandala work. Mandala? Is that, am I
It's
saying
mandala. That's how you pronounce
mandala?
it in Sanskrit. Mandala. You say you
Mandala.
pronounce it not mandala, but mandala.
You said in one of your posts, you always had the feeling that something was right under the surface that wanted to glow, but it was still covered with dust.
Yes.
I was
Yes.
like, that's just a beautiful statement. And then you made another kind of a declaration. Here's another one that you had posted. I hereby accept my role as a new energy teacher, paving the way for humanity to awake and uplift through creativity. That's
Yes.
such a bold. I love that you took that statement and made it public. And I imagine, did, when you did that, did you feel nervous putting that
Uh,
out into the
yeah.
world?
Very, very much.
I
Very much.
bet.
Very much. I actually, a couple of months ago, I started my own podcast. It's not out yet. I started it with video and I call it Awaken and Uplift TV.
Mm-hmm.
And I interview creatives. And I said, creativity is something, it's not only art. I mean, it's it's everything. So I started with the big mentor of mandalas, who taught my teacher, and I already did with a few others, a dancer and a tarot reader who was also an artist, and so yes, I think my role is to uplift, awaken creativity. That's what I want to do. The tools that I have are movement and mandalas, but that's my role in life, and that's what I aim to do, if possible, for the next 10 years, as long as I work. If I go along with my father, who is how you say that, sentential,
So, oh yeah, he's a centennial,
a
right? Because you
centennial.
just told me he turned 100. right?
He's hasn't no, he
Oh,
hasn't
he's
turned,
almost.
but
He's
he's almost
99.
100. He's past 99. He
Yeah.
was born in 1921.
Ah,
So
okay.
centennial. So my mom died at 96. So I guess that I'm going to be here a long time. And I plan to work at least for another 10 or 15 or more years. And I'd love to teach for as long as I can, for as long as I can. Maybe I'll pivot again, but this is what I'm going to do for the next few years. I hereby declare.
What I love about your story is how you have just followed your instincts and made changes. You listened to that inner voice and you made the changes you needed to make. Did you ever feel like um was there ever a change that it kind of like in hindsight it sounds like the decisions were very easy for you, but did you have some fear heading into those pivots and those changes? Was there anything that was blocking you from doing it?
I think the first one when I left the Association for Civil Rights in Israel, that was like you leave a safe job, and our parents' generation, most of them were not entrepreneurs. They were looking for safety. And
Mm-hmm.
my mom, who was a social worker, my father was a bank manager. And my mom always wanted me to get either in civil service to get a job or in the banks. Like she thought that you need a security.
Mm-hmm.
And I was kind of breaking away from it completely. I said, I'm going for the unknown. So that was the first time. I
Yes.
think,
So when you approached your parents, I imagine you knew how your parents might feel about this.
yeah, yeah,
So just to and they ended up supporting you, which is
yeah,
amazing.
yeah,
Were
yeah.
you were you just so scared coming to have that
No,
conversation
no, I
with them?
wasn't scared going to my parents because my parents, in a way, I was married in my 20s, mostly because I was under pressure to get married. And I think my parents learned from that they have to go along with me.
Mm.
And before I did that, before I left that job, I left another. I didn't leave it. I took a vacation and then I left it when I was abroad. I came to them. I was recovering from a divorce, and I was in another job which was included being a spokesperson. I was a assistant spokesperson at the time, and I said to them, listen, I want to take a trip to the Far East that I didn't take for my honeymoon. And I want to go for 3 months. And they said to me, we'll support you in anything you want to do. I didn't ask them for money or anything. I just said that that's what was my intention.
Mm-hmm.
And when I came to them with my wish to study, to change direction, I think they were ready for this, and they supported me 100%. And my mom, all these years, just wanted me to get remarried and have kids.
You know, the people that we love want things for us that are so well intentioned and may not be the best thing
Yeah,
for us.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So it hurt me to hurt her, to
Yeah.
disappoint her in that respect. But I was true to myself, and I thought that if I don't want to get remarried, I'm not really built to be a single mom. I didn't want to do that.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't. I didn't.
Yeah.
And if there are any regrets, this is not the subject. I don't know. I don't think so. There are no regrets. I'm actually looking for a nice man with a ready-made family.
There you go. There you go.
I'm ready to be a grandma.
I love it. I love it. And I have a feeling that, you're fabulous. You're going to find somebody. Somebody's
Yeah,
going to, somebody's dying to be with you.
I'll be a fabulous grandma, I'm sure, because I'm a
Yes.
really fabulous aunt. So,
Oh, that's amazing. Oh my goodness. What do you love? What do you like best about being the age you are now?
I don't give a damn. Sorry
Ah,
about the words.
yes. Oh my
You
gosh.
see me in the podcast, you can't see me, but I'm actually graying up. You see that? That's how you said that. I stopped dyeing my hair about 6 months ago.
Hmm.
I'm still in the process. It's not as fabulous as it is going to look in about 6 months,
I have to
but
tell you, it looks really cool right now. It
okay.
looks really cool. I love it. You've got those
Thanks.
great curls, and then you've got like that stripe of
I have a
white.
crown.
It is, yeah, you do. You have a crown. It's gotten to a good place. It's so funny. Just full disclosure, I just colored my hair. And right before it, for the past week or so, I've been thinking, oh, is it time to stop coloring? Maybe it is. And then I was watching it grow in, and I'm like, no, I'm not ready yet because it's still I want it to be more gray when I do
Yeah,
it.
but it's easier to do it when it's not so gray, I must say. But the thing is, I think about 5 years ago, I promised myself when I turned 60, I'm going to do this. And I turned 60 and I didn't dare.
Yeah.
And then COVID came, and I saw so many women do it. And I said, okay. And I lost the chance to do it at the beginning of COVID because I kept dying it. But I said, okay, I'll dye only the front, and I left my back. And I did because I don't have that much gray hair in the back. And then just in September, I said, I think in August, I said, this is the last time. I'm not going to do it anymore, and I stuck to it. And when I make a decision, I make a decision. It's like pivoting. I make a decision and I stick to it. So I made a decision and I stuck to it. And I'm really I'm satisfied now because it looks pretty. And
It does. It
even
really does.
yesterday, a woman who knows me, she met me, and I was talking to her sister, and I said that I was doing it, and she said, "Oh, I thought that you were actually coloring your hair silver," and I started to laugh.
That's so funny. I think it's great. I love that that is the trend that's happening right now is women just owning
Yeah,
owning where they are
who they
on the
are.
path of life,
Yeah,
and I really am, the more I do this podcast, the more I realize how we really need to rethink how we embrace what age is and
yeah,
what's possible for us as we age, because it doesn't, I mean, it's so different now from what it was for our parents. we're
absolutely.
it's a different world, and what's possible for us in our 50s, 60s, 70s, who knows, you
Yeah,
know.
yeah. I think the world is going. I mean, we are baby. I'm a baby boomer. At least I'm at the end of the baby boomers. And yeah, the baby boomers are aging, and it we I think the whole culture now is so youth centered, and we start owning up and saying, listen, if you want me to buy your perfume, don't give me an 18-year-old on your commercial. I don't want to see an 18-year-old wearing the same perfume as I do. You want me to buy your perfume? Give me a 60-year-old woman, a 50-year-old woman.
Yes,
That's what
and
I'll buy.
it's exciting. There's a whole movement going on, and I think that the advertisers and the marketing people in marketing are starting to get that. So, oh, I have a question for you. What do people misunderstand about you?
Ooh, that's a tough question.
Do you feel like there's anything, or do you feel like people really kind of get you based on?
I think people start getting me. I maybe because the closer I am to who I really am, the closer I get to who I really am, the more people get me. Because I think if I don't have the filters, they don't see filters. And
Mm,
I think many years people thought that I had more. self confidence that I used to have, but my self confidence grew. So I'm more, and I don't think people understand that I'm an introvert. And because when I come out, I'm a speaker, I come out on a stage, I perform. I know you see my even my voice booms a little because when you're a tour guide, you need to speak to the last person
Mm-hmm.
standing in the back of the
Mm-hmm.
room or in the group. So you don't. So performing for me is a way of showing who I am. But I think that yeah, nowadays I think people get me more and more,
I love
and
what you said that because you're showing more of your truth, that
yeah,
people are starting to get more of that, and that so there's like, it sounds to me like with age there's and through your self exploration with the mandala work that you've done has given you this well of courage to step forward really with yourself and not just for yourself but for others.
and to say I am that I am.
Yeah.
I am that I am, and yes, and it's owning up a lot of things. I think a lot of
Yeah.
things. And it's only for the past couple of years that I'm getting the courage to be who I truly and not to, and really not to care what people really think. I mean, they can think whatever they want. You don't want me, you don't come. It's okay. There are other people who want me. It's fine. It's
Right.
fine not to like me. It's okay.
Yes.
If
Yes.
you like me for who I am and what I stand for. And if you don't, it does not resonate with you, that's fine. I know everybody resonates with me either.
Right. And if we could, and we're all so busy for so long trying to be or project the person that we think people want us to be, and we're cheating ourselves and those other people.
Absolutely. And I think if you didn't ask me, but I'm giving it freely as an advice to younger people, if you ever listen to this podcast, it's that don't be afraid to be who you truly are. Don't think about what people expect you to be because you have to find your own voice and say it out loud and proclaim who you truly are. And if you're still looking, that's fine. Just go on exploring it until you know. And for my journey, it takes quite a while.
I love it. I love it. That's a beautiful place to wrap it all up. But
Yeah.
before we do, I want to know, what do you have going on that you're excited about? What's going on for you?
Okay, so I have a few first Clubhouse. I'm just starting to explore it, and I have a few rooms coming up, and even collaborating with you.
Yeah.
And so that's one thing. And I have my own rooms that have to do with more about movement and chakra work and mandala work. So just follow me on Clubhouse and Instagram. And
Perfect. What's your and so where can people what do you list it under in Instagram? It's
in
just your name, right?
Instagram, I'm listed under my name, Yael Gilboa, in
Mm-hmm.
one word. And on Clubhouse, it's at Gilboim, Gilboim. Also on TikTok, I just started TikTok, but I'm not that active. And on Facebook, it's Mandala Healing or Yael Gilboa Mandala Healing. And my website is mandalahealing.dance. And my forthcoming, I'm doing a few workshops now on actually painting mandalas, really getting people into the work, doing mandala artwork, but each one of them, each it's technique and spiritual work together. So this is what I'm excited about, and following that, I'm going to do something which about chakra work and chakra awakening, and that will be a huge course. So this is planned for another couple of months, maybe.
Very cool. I have a friend who's going through some work to clear chakras, and she's just in the beginning learning stages. So I'm gonna let her know for sure about what you're doing. That's exciting, and maybe I'll look into it myself. That sounds really cool. I love what you're doing. I will have all that information in the show notes for people so that they can come and find you and do a little exploring. I think it's great. Thank you
Ah,
so much for being here with us today.
thank you, Yvonne. That was such a pleasure for me just to share, I think, my life story. And yeah, to know, I hope that people will enjoy it and that it will give you some insight into somebody else, into how you can live your life fully and not to be afraid to make the changes that you need to make in order to live it fully. And
Yes.
thank you so much for having me.
Oh, my total pleasure. Thank you. Well, there you have it. I only met Yael a few weeks ago, but you know how it is when you meet someone and you just know you're going to be friends? From my first conversation with her, I knew I was meeting a kindred spirit, and now we've hosted a couple of rooms in Clubhouse and are planning more in the near future. I'll keep you posted about that. Talking to her inspired me to try my hand at creating a couple of mandalas as an experiment in getting out of my head. I tend to find myself grinding and working a lot and thinking about work even when it's supposed to be my downtime. I have to say, my little foray into creating mandalas has been fun and helps me disconnect my brain from all the chatter that's usually going on up there. Mandalas may or may not be your thing, but how do you know until we try something? So if you're curious about it, you can head over to Yael's website. I'll have that information for you in the show notes. Just go to latebloomerliving.com/podcast and click on the show notes for episode 44. And hey, while you're there, you can also find a link to the sign-up sheet for your free guide, 5 Steps to Your Midlife Reboot. Thanks so much for listening. I hope you have a fantastic week. Stay safe and well. Talk soon.